It's April 2026. Let's have a look around my drought-tolerant free plants garden. It is a little past mid-April here in California, 2026, and that means we are fully in spring here in the garden. We did get some really nice rainfall earlier this year. We've had some patchy rain, but the winter and spring rain always make the succulents go really lush and happy. They've also gotten a little bit overgrown. It's certainly a change from previous years that we've had in the garden. If you are a regular to this channel, you'll know that this garden has grown and evolved over the last 6 years. And most of the plants here I've gotten for free or for very little money. So we have a lot of different colors and textures, which is my favorite part about the garden. We have our blue Senecio chalk sticks, these red Aeonium voodoo. We have our Euphorbia sticks on fire, a lot of different varieties of aloe. We have our aloe Cameronii, that's that one here. We have Agave attenuatas, foxtail agave. There's some other agaves up there. And everything has really grown in, especially after we had a good bit of rain this year, not as much as previous years, but still enough to make the Aeoniums come out of dormancy and the Senecio to really fill in. My dry riverbed is finally in. I started it about a year ago and I've slowly been adding to it. And some of the plants are getting a little bit too condensed. And that is one thing I feel like I always talk about. I need to work on editing my garden a little bit. That is the sort of the next project. You see there's an agave blue Americana. It's hiding back there. You'd almost not know it's there. We have some other aloes and euphorbias that are hiding around. What's great is that this garden has really filled in over the years, and I haven't had to add too much decorative rocks. There's some areas that could do with some more decorative stone, but mostly the plants have just filled themselves in, and it's so great, and it's made it really fun and organic looking. This is an area that was pretty barren, and I added a lot of Aeoniums. They've finally rooted. They have been covered by volunteer nasturtiums that come back every year, and they're just about at the end of their season. We also get a lot of oxalis around here, so this is looking kind of bad. And in fact, I wanted to shoot this video today because, as you can see, our sidewalk is getting a little bit overgrown. I got a letter from my city that I needed to clean it up, so I've started to do that. You can actually see the Senecio blue chalk sticks were really impeding the sidewalk, and apologies to my neighbors for making this part of the sidewalk less accessible, but I am out here cleaning that up today. So turning back around, again, what I love about this garden is the different layers of color and texture. This is a copper tone sedum. This garden gets a lot of afternoon sun, so that is part of the reason a lot of these succulents are showing off their really bright color, because they get a lot of direct sunlight. Right here is my agave blue flame, and it is in the throes of its death bloom. And look at that. It's actually almost completely flowered. The last video update I did was January, and in January I was suspecting that it was going to death bloom, and sure enough, now 4 months later, it has completely bloomed, and the plant is starting to fade, and that is just part of the life cycle of these plants. It's a little bit sad. I am hoping that some little pups will burst out underneath this plant, or at least we'll get some seeds or little baby pups from the blossom. We shall see. But that's what happens to these plants. It's just part of the natural life cycle. I did get this plant for free, so I cannot complain. It was left out by a neighbor. It had become too overgrown for their yard, so it fit quite perfectly with mine. And we'll just have to find another agave or another really nice plant to put in its place. So if I move back over to this side, there's not a whole lot going on over here. You can see where I've also been clearing the plants. These Senecio, they were completely overgrown, so fair enough. I started to clear these back. Here's some of the clippings I'm gonna set in here, and this is a hillside of nothing right now. We do have this Pride of Madeira, which, if you've watched my channel before, you know I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love that the pollinators love it, but it is itchy. It gets so overgrown. It's nice, it's filling in this space for now, but I think once the blooms are gone, I am gonna get rid of this completely. So this side of the yard is a little bit forgotten. We've had some years where it was beautiful and full of wildflowers, but it just hasn't been like that for a while. We're hoping to fix it up. It's just on the long to-do list of garden projects with our house, but we'll move back through this succulent garden. We have some other areas here in the front. This agave is looking great. It doesn't get watered. None of this gets watered. This is not on irrigation at all, and you can tell we've had rain because it's not looking too terrible. But moving back towards this part of the garden, again, everything's a bit overgrown. This Senecio used to be back about a foot from the edge of the driveway. It's really getting overgrown, and even my path here, you can see. So I have some definite gardening to do to really clear this place up. I do love the wild look, but this is a little bit too wild. So I do intend to clear all this back. We have some gopher holes we need to deal with. Over here, some more of those aloes, and we've got some really great little desert specimens in here. I have a torch cactus, which is about to have a flower. This agave has gotten so big recently, it's completely hiding. There's an Opuntia, a native California Opuntia down there, and we've got an artichoke agave perii, some more aloes, but yeah, it's kind of a hot mess, let's be real. I mean, this is an Aeonium. It's not a kiwi, but it's kind of similar shape to a kiwi, completely taking over the path. This is, I mean, you can't even walk over here, and then we've got the mess of nasturtiums. So, you know, maybe next video I'll show you it all nice and cleaned up. This is another view of some of these euphorbias. There's the sticks on fire, and this is a Euphorbia leucodendron, which I cut way back, and it's gone a little wacky again. So this part of the yard I really do. I mean, I can't even walk through this path. Let's make our way through. And yeah, the nasturtiums look pretty bad. It's like, what's the garden from Great Expectations? This is my Agave Blue Americana. It came from a Facebook Marketplace listing. It's getting really big, and I absolutely love it. I have no intention of moving it. It's sort of the centerpiece of this yard, but it's becoming like the only thing in the yard now. It's becoming to the point where nothing else really fits in here. So we'll just rethink that. And then eventually, it's also known as a century plant. Eventually this will death bloom, and maybe that'll be okay. It has sent off so many pups. I got so many plants from that Facebook Marketplace listing, and a lot of them I do need to move and rethink. Here's another one here. This totally has to go. This is getting way too big. This one here, that one's probably okay, but you can't see it. I mean, this is like a jungle. This looks terrible. It's a little bit embarrassing, but it's spring. So the plants are overgrown. The gophers are in full breeding season, so I've sort of ignored this. It's a little bit embarrassing. I do always love the way the nasturtiums look, but then they start to look really bad. And the Senecio chalk sticks are getting really out of control. These are looking really stretched, and I think it's because it's been winter, and we do get a lot of shade on this side of the yard because of all these bird of paradise, and we have a big live oak tree here. So I do think that I need to rethink this. Possibly put things that aren't so sprawling in here, like maybe a bunch of smaller size aloe or possibly some low echeverias. In this yard, if you want to know the types of plants, we have our blue Agave Americana, we have our Euphorbia sticks on fire, these are Aeonium voodoo, these are Aeoniums Forchkopf, we have some Crassula gallum, also known as Shrek ear Crassula. They've gotten really overgrown. They're pretty happy here. Possibly too much water. It's almost like they're reverting to a jade, a regular jade. This is what they're supposed to look like. So they are, aren't they? They're reverting. That's really interesting. So I'm not really sure what that's about. I'm no plant expert. I'm gonna guess that they are a hybrid and they're reverting to whatever they used to be. That's just a guess with my limited plant knowledge. Move back through the path here. Again, everything overgrown. This is a little succulent tapestry that has seen better days. On one hand, we have this tree, which is great, and it's getting some nice trumpet flowers, which is really pretty, but it drops a lot of leaves and looks a little bit bad. So I've got a lot of paring back to do, and I do think what I'd like to do is add more stone and ground cover to fill it in. And I think that will make it look a little more cohesive. Over here is my succulent bed, which has featured in other videos. We have a little, this is a sunburst aeonium, which is doing its death bloom thing. We have some other nice echeverias. The sedum ground cover looks great. It's pretty happy here. We have drought-friendly drippers. These are actually little sprayers, which are good because they kind of spray all of these succulents maybe about 3 times a week, just for a few minutes each. So they're all pretty healthy. We have that turned off during the rainy months. And then this is my succulent arrangement I made with a broken pot. You can see it's looking a little bit worse for wear. It had a lot of sedum that didn't last. So the sedum, I think the sedum goes dormant in certain times of year, and so it just like, you can see little parts of it coming back. So I think I'm gonna reset this with some other echeverias, or I can't remember what this one's called. I'll pop it on the screen because I feel like that's looking really great and that's really happy in this arrangement. This is a type of ice plant that a neighbor had left out. Again, I keep having to cut it back because it's pretty happy here. And our Aeonium kiwis, which look really, really cool. They're like little mini sunburst Aeoniums. They're looking great, but, and then you can see here, it's just nasturtium mayhem. I mean, it is nice and colorful and pretty. And once they start looking bad, which they're starting to do, I'll pull it all up and reset everything. But yeah, a lot of the succulents, they just get really filled in at this time of year. This little succulent tapestry, all my little gnome gardens, there they are. The fairy garden is looking pretty cute. I had to pull back. There was a lot of wood sorrel growing in here, oxalis, that I pulled back, and we did have a little gopher find its way in here. So a lot of our DG, decomposed granite, did fall into a gopher hole. We recently celebrated St. Patrick's Day, as you can see, and as well as Easter. So this is a little fun thing we have in the garden that lots of neighbors contribute to and absolutely love it. And then we do have an actual leucodendron here. It's pretty shady right now. It wants more sun. It's starting to stretch up. We do get some sun here certain times of the day. It's late afternoon now. So it's looking okay. And then these agave attenuatas are super overgrown. So I think that's the theme of the day, overgrown. I do plan on resetting a lot of this stuff here. And I'll just really quickly move to this part of the yard. This corner here with these potted succulents, really happy with them. Another Aeonium sunburst that is doing its death bloom, but This one's hanging on. And then we have a Graptivaria Fred Ives, which I've done a video about recently. And I'll just quickly go up to our little meadow garden. And well, first of all, here's our avocado tree. It's covered in fruit. It has given me some fruit lately, but unfortunately, it does have some sort of a pest issue. I don't know if you can see on some of those leaves, it's got this sort of fly that has taken over. Luckily, I have seen some good beneficial insects eating them, and I might purchase more. You have to be really careful about that. And then I keep finding actual avocados. Like, look at that. Free plants, free food. It is absolutely covered in fruit. This tree was here before we bought the house, and it didn't produce any avocados because we had these two or three very large Victorian boxwood that had just gotten super overgrown, and it was like completely shady, and now it gets lots of sunlight, and I've been giving it a lot of good fertilizer, and it's much happier. But this little meadow is looking okay. It looked amazing earlier. We had so many native California lupins in here. The California poppies, they're closed now because it's afternoon. They have been out, but we do have a gopher, and I just noticed. So I'll get a lot of this stuff where the gopher does seem to like the roots of this plant. So that's pretty disappointing. I do plan on doing a much more designed yard here. I have a lot of native California plants. I have a manzanita over there. We have some opuntia cactus, a lot of native buckwheat. We have a Matilla hot poppy over there, which has gotten huge in the last month. And I do want to make this much more of like a native California meadow type thing. And then up there, those are our pea bushes. Those were all little volunteers from these pea bushes, and I replanted them up here. And they've been up there for about a year, and they're finally starting to be more like a hedge. I am going to cut them soon so that they sort of bush out, they hedge out a little bit better. And that is my plan with that. Actually, we'll go up here really quick. You can see the mess of the yard, but you can see, and I also think I might need to rethink this Agave Blue Americana. I think that's going to get too big, and then it's going to be really impossible to get rid of in the slope and cause some chaos. So I think that was a mistake putting that in there. But down here, actually, these are some opuntias that I had found. I've actually featured these in videos about opuntia cactus and found it on this side of the road. And now that I've planted them in the ground, they are so happy. I'm like really pleased with that. And again, please ignore the mess, but I do want to show you some of the things I have planted up here. This is a native California grape. I got that at my local botanic garden. So far, so good. It occurred to me that I never put a gopher wire around it, so I might have to replant that. And then here were some of the wonky dragon fruit that I featured in my dragon fruit video. So they're looking pretty good now. They're pretty happy there. And here's a close-up of that Matilla hot poppy. Soon to be covered with fried egg flowers. Okay, back down here. Our pea bushes are a little out of control. We keep using our really nice hedge trimmer to clean them back, but I'm pretty excited about our veggie garden. This is our raised garden bed. I've featured it in other videos, but I recently did some seed starters. So we have some sugar snap peas. We have some kale. That's been there about a year. And then these are some pumpkins and some black beauty squash, potatoes, and then our little rain collector. So watch this space. Hopefully we'll actually have a nice garden harvest, and I'll show you where I started these seeds from. So really a cool project. But here's our little meadow from below. It looks a little wild. I know we'll kind of wrap this up soon because I'm very excited. If we go back to the back, back to my propagation station, which I'm very happy to report it's been pretty cleared out. We did some tidying up here. I Marie Kondo'd a few things. Let's see, what little projects have we got going on here? Here are some giant cactus. Again, Facebook Marketplace, $9 for all of these. They have been sitting here since January. I kind of know where I want to put them, but I do want to make sure that they're fully dried out before we plant them. Here's my little greenhouse with a lot of my little projects, propagation projects. We got some string of hearts. We have some Calicia ripens, a lot of little epiphytic cactus, some more string of turtles, things like that. That's the stuff that wants to be a little more humid. And then here are a lot of my succulent propagation projects, many of which featured in a recent video all about succulent propagation. And I can even show you. So here, this one in particular featured at the start of my succulent propagation video, and you can actually see, look at all the little baby buds that are coming out of those stumps. Don't throw those stumps away. And here's another leaf propagation that featured in that video. Over here, this is my revamped potting table. I actually filmed a video about creating this. I'll show a little bit to come. And then these are my really cool Vigo Garden seed starter trays that I started a lot of. You know, the sugar snap peas I showed you in the raised bed. This has been a really cool project to do some seed starts. So it's proper spring over here. And then spinning around to this side, let's see, here's what is my sort of semi-native California garden, or had intended to be. And oh, here's Waffles coming to say hi. And it got pretty overgrown. I've cut a lot of things back because they just got a little too wacky, and I even cut some of our loquat tree back. And we've got another mini succulent bed that has featured in other videos. It's looking pretty filled in. The only thing is full of loquat droppings. So that's what happens. But I do like how this is filled in, and I've had to cut this rock rose back, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's what happens. These are ginger plants that I had pulled out of my front yard. So where a lot of those succulents in the front yard were, there had been a lot of decrepit looking ginger plants, and I've potted them up. I do want to do kind of a little tropical area of the yard, so I'm saving them for that. And then another very colorful succulent wall. These succulents get a lot of light and heat, hence they're very bright orange colors. And what else? Here's our dragon fruits as featured in previous videos. I think they might be a little bit stressed out, but they're still doing okay. We've got some fruit trees up here. A honey mandarin that has yet to really give me any fruit. Meyer lemon that is really happy. Rosemary that is very happy. And a mission fig, again, yet to receive any fruit from that. They've been in here for about 5 years. So I don't know what we're doing wrong, but I think actually this has produced some fruit, and I think they may have gotten eaten by squirrels. And then here's the deck view of the backyard, our little fire pit area, the grass, our video bird feeder that is constantly showing us really cute visitors. On the side of my house, I did want to give one other update. These are the roses that I featured not too long ago in my rose care video, and true to the rose care word, they bloomed these beautiful Belinda's Blush blooms. We have more blooms coming, and this is our Mr. Lincoln. This one, the bloom is, I think it might have gotten too hot, but Or, oh no, it's got a pest. But overall, the rose care that we did for these has pretty much worked. So I'm happy with that, happy to report that that works. And here's an orchid that is looking a little worse for wear. Maybe I'll feature that. I got that for free from a neighbor who had left it out. I'll have to do another update video on this plant. And then, of course, I have another Vigo Easy Cube raised bed. We've got the broccolinis, they're done. We got some nice broccolis. Now they're just caterpillar food at the moment. But we got some cool things coming in. We got some strawberries about to come in, some parsley, some garlic. It's looking good. It's getting some nice bright sunshine over here. This is south facing, so kind of get a lot of sun here. So that is it for my April garden and plant tour. Thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. I like to answer what I can when I can. I'm not a plant expert, just a plant fan, but I do have a lot of experience with succulents in particular and drought-tolerant gardens. So if you have any questions about anything in this video or other videos, feel free to pop it in the comments. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok, and don't forget to subscribe.